Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames recently came out in the new pack, and people are hyping this card up quite a bit. And you know, as a content creator of myself, I always love a good clickbait title. But when people say like this card breaks Salad right now, I feel like they need to maybe relax a little bit, at least until the new support comes out. Obviously, when we get the new Salad support, this Link 3 is going to be crucial to that build, obviously. But right now, with the current Salad that we have right now, and as one of the few people who actually tries playing Salad competitively in like the high ranks of Master Duel, I feel like this card is not anywhere close to as game-breaking as people are making it out to be. So, first of all, it comes in a package with Amphibious Swarmship Ambler Whale, which everyone runs with this. I am choosing not to run this. I'll detail my reasons why in a little bit. First, so what does this card do? It firelocks you while it's on the field, and during your main, you can special summon one fire monster from your graveyard. Usually, 99% of the time, you're going to be special summoning Silent Wolf, since that's you're going to be using Silent Wolf plus an extra Salad monster to make Promethean Princess. So then, when you make Promethean Princess, it revives Silent Wolf, and then you go from there. And during the opponent's turn, if this card's in the graveyard, you can target when your opponent special summons a monster. So most of the most common interaction I've used with this is against opposing Fenders. They say they special summon a Fender, you target your own Salad monster and their Fenrir, then you pop both of them and special summon this. You can even protect your own Salad monster with a Balings and Grave so that it doesn't even pop, and you just pop their monster and special summon this. So it's kind of nice. It's like a pseudo interruption, like on a special summon. Obviously, half the time I've made this, I've played against Stun and Labyrinth, and where this actually doesn't do anything, but that's beside the point. And what a lot of people do with this is they use Promethean Princess and the Wolf that they revive into going into Ambler Whale. And this card just does not do enough, in my opinion. So you have two routes you can do after you summon Ambler Whale, right? One of them is, what this card basically reads is, if this card is destroyed, you can target a Link 3 or lower and special summon it. And if a Link 3 or lower monster on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can banish from the grave and pop a card. So how that interacts with the Promethean Princess is weird, because if you leave this on the field, the Ambler Whale on the field, it doesn't actually get you an interruption. Like, you will pop Ambler Whale with Princess to summon it, and then Princess will pop a card. But then when Ambler Whale goes to the grave, it doesn't serve as an interruption. It just revives one of your Link monsters in the grave, which, again, these are Salad Link monsters. They don't do anything when they revive, okay? They're basically just vanillas. It's like you're popping this, you're making this just to revive a vanilla from your grave. And then if you want the interruption, right, you don't have a way to actually pop this yourself, right? Unless you're really desperate and you use Rage to pop your Ambler Whale, which is like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just pop the card you want with Rage in the first place and not go through the Ambler Whale? Like, in order to get this pop effect after you use Promethean Princess already, you basically have to rely on your opponent to do stuff to kill your own monsters and to run over your monsters by battle while not reading Ambler Whale, so that they can run into it. Because if all they have to do is simply click on this card in the grave, read the second effect, and be like, oh, so this card doesn't do anything, right? Which is why I don't like that route. I don't like just making this and leaving it on the field. The other method that people are using to the other method people are using Ambler Whale for is they're actually just linking this off immediately, so they put it into the grave. So they're just ignoring the float effect entirely, because that doesn't really do much for you. And they're using it to, basically, when Promethean Princess pops a card, you can banish this and then pop from grave and then pop a card. So you get one extra pop off the Promethean Princess. which is okay, I guess. It's not a later interruption because you can't just get the pop at any time. It has to be tied to the Promethean princess. So, say for example they summon Fender, this Amloil wouldn't do anything because the Promethean princess would pop the Fender, but then they wouldn't have anything else for you to pop. But then you also don't have another way to trigger the Amloil after using the Promethean princess easily. So overall, like this is it's an interaction that exists, but I don't think it's quite worth the 15th extra deck slot, because this extra deck in Salad is tight, especially if you've played Salad for any amount of time. You know that triple Balinks and triple Sonic Wolf come into play all the time. If any game goes past turn 3, which if you can't access kill them, which is quite frequently, then you will end up using all 3 of your Salad Link monsters quite often, and it's not worth like hurting your grind game for the Amloil play turn 1 for an additional situational pop, in my opinion. And then you can't cut the other stuff, like you can't cut the Update Jammer access, dude, that's crazy. You can't cut Heat Soul because there are certain lines, or if you get hand trapped at all, you have to end on a Heat Soul. You don't have access to Out Traps, so like you still need this in your extra deck. Same with Transco, same with Splash Mage. And then, you know, Mirage Salad, Smosh Salio, and here's my next point with this play is Baguska. People are cutting Baguska. I think, what is this meta right now? This meta, the best deck far and away is Purrely. And then you have Cash, which is also a popular deck. And do you know what Baguska does to those two decks? Like, it FTKs them. If they don't have an Imperm, or they're designated out to Baguska, they just lose. Like, they have one push. They can make one Donner or one Azalea to try and pop the Bagusa, which, you know, you run like 15 hand traps. You can stop them pretty easily from their one telegraphed out to Baguska, and then they just lose. Like, this card is super high impact. This does way more in this current meta than anything you can do with the Promethean and Amloil line, which is like the point I'm trying to make is this isn't even necessarily the correct thing to go for turn 1, since when you go for the Promethean Princess line, you are foregoing Baguska, because instead of using your Jack Jaguars and your Falcos, your level 4 sad monsters on field to make a Bagusa, you're linking them off in the Promethean Princess, and then you will never have enough material back to make the Baguska later. So you're foregoing Baguska to go Promethean Princess for a pop, which I just don't think it's a fair trade-off this meta. In the future metas where it will change, it might, maybe not, but like, I do this play to demonstrate how to do it. But I generally, if I was in a competitive setting or like a tournament setting and I was playing this deck for some god-awful reason why I'm playing Salad in a competitive tournament, I would prioritize making a Baguska turn 1 still. And that's probably going to be the case up until we get the new Salad support. That will be a change. But yeah, that's why I'm not running Amloil. I'm not using the extra deck slot, and I don't think this is really a game breaking at all like card for Salad. It's nice to have, like, it's having the options nice. There are certainly there are some instances where having this as a 15 extra deck card is useful, but I just want to point out, like, this, like, hold your horses, okay? And that's basically the bulk of the discussion, because the rest of this Salad list is fairly standard. I mean, I'm running Buffalo, and like, you maxed out on Gazelle, obviously you maxed out on Spinny. You have the 2 Foxy, 2 Jack, and the 1 Falco. The Foxy and Jack ratios are they can be changed to be like 3-1 as well. I just like, again, because I think Baguska is a really good card this meta, so opening more level 4s is nice, and Jack Jaguar by itself does something, whereas Foxy and other cards like other Salad, Jack Jaguar and Giselle are at least 1 card combos, where if you have these and 4 hand traps in hand, you can end on a Heat Soul and play Heat Soul control with 5 hand traps in hand and draw 2. Whereas Foxies and Spinnies and Falcons, they don't do anything on their own if they're only monsters. Same with Buffalo. The 2 Salad Traps, Rage and Roar, you don't need anymore. And the Cyan Mining, so I know it's going to seem like, why do you have to justify Cyan Mining? Well, Cyan Mining is by far one of the most cuttable cards in this deck. Because it's, the one thing you want to use this for is to get Gazelle, because Gazelle is important. You need access to Gazelle. But you have 6 copies of Gazelle. So obviously getting 9 copies of Gazelle is nice. But the instances where you already open one of your 6 copies of Gazelle, and you have Cyan Mining becomes extremely mediocre, because at that point there's no other monster in your deck besides Gazelle that's worth going -1 for to add to your hand. Right? And you don't want to discard hand traps, because hand traps are like the bread and butter of like a mid-range deck such as Salad. So it's kinda, it feels weak, very weak going first, especially if you have to depend on Cyan Mining to actually access your engine. Then it's like Ash just eats you alive, which normally Ash does not do very much to the deck, especially because people still think ashing Balinks is a good play in the year of our Lord and Savior 2023. But overall, it's still like consistency, because if you don't open Gazelle, your deck is significantly worse, obviously. So in running an imperfect card like Cyan Mining, and going second, it's actually, I find more use for Cyan Mining going second than going first. Because going first, it's a neg, it's like whatever. Going second, I use this as an extender, because it's really easy to stop Salad. You just hit their normal summon, and you know, if I don't have Gazelle in hand, my turn ends already anyways. But even if I have Gazelle in hand, right, one Gazelle does not really go that far. But if they like try to do something to your normal summon, something funky to it, if they even book your normal summon, that's generally game a lot of the times. So Cyan Mining just gives you, in combination with any of your other monsters, it gives you a way to get Gazelle onto the field and continue extending there. Like, for example, Lab tries to pop your one normal summon, right? You just go Cyan Mining, pitch a card, add Gazelle, and then try to continue playing. And I've beat a couple Lab players because they disrespect the decks to the point where they thought literally the Rumor Cannoning my one normal summon would end my turn. Which, no, if you had a second one you would, but with just one, I can use Cyan Mining to play through that. The non-engine, the hand traps, okay, so Ash, Maxi, Imprim are staple. I would say Droll is pretty good this format if you play against meta, against Purrely. I played against a lot of non-meta where Droll is extremely hit or miss, but the thing is, Droll, this is one of the few decks where you can use Droll as anti-Maxi, since, first of all, this deck should never lose to Droll. One, you can use Salamangreat Circle in the draw phase, which Droll cannot be activated in, and even if not, the only time you add cards directly from your hand to your deck, besides from Cyan Mining, is with Balinks, right? So if you Balinks and you don't need to use Circle or Mining, then like it doesn't really, there's nothing else you're gonna add to your hand. So Droll basically does nothing. Droll never works on Flame Buffalo because you can normal summon Buffalo, link off the Balinks, chainlink 1 Buffalo, chainlink 2 Balinks, chain block the Buffalo from Ash, and at that point, if they want to draw you, you've already added a Sanctuary to your hand and you've drawn 2. So Droll does not hurt you in a sense. And going second, I use Droll as anti-Maxi to OTK my opponent, since they have to draw into the Nibiru basically. So if I just rolled their first draw, I don't need to add cards to my hand to kill you. Gazelle will just dump everything to the grave, will dump Spinny, will dump Jack Dragar, and then Silent Wolf, even if I don't kill him, Silent Wolf can add stuff from the grave to hand, does not add stuff from deck to hand. So yeah, if Droll becomes a staple in main decks, then this is an anti-Droll choice, I suppose. The Nibiru has like been terrible for me. In theory, you need this for Cash, because this is the best card against Cash, and the Rise Heart is a menace. But I just play Stun and Lab all day, and this card is Cyan Mining fodder. So, you know, I don't know about this. You probably don't need the triple Nibiru, but at the same time, you can statistically you're probably not gonna play enough cash to where you can get away with not running 3 Nibiru. But I mean, there's some matchups where Nibiru comes up where you think it might not, as you'll see in a couple of my replays. Anything else to mention? I guess the nice thing about the Promethean Princess line is that you actually don't need Sanctuary at all if you go through the Promethean Princess line, because you're relinking Silent Wolf with the Princess anyways. You never actually need to hard make relink Silent Wolf with Sanctuary. So ashing Baelings is an even worse play now. It can literally do nothing if you go for that line. So remember, guys, never hand trap the Baelings, okay? Just never hand trap the Baelings. And I guess people might ask, well, Promethean Princess also conflicts with Nibiru, right? Yes, 100%. Another reason not to go for the Promethean line. I'm just kidding. It's fine. It's fine. Going second, obviously, it's whatever. Going first, even if you have Nibiru in hand, and even if you choose to go for the Promethean Princess line or the Baguska, like you should be fine most of the time, because there's a couple ways you can play around the Firelock. One is not actually playing around it and just summoning this, because they're gonna have to. This thing has 2700 attack, right? It's a bit hard to try and OTK you if you have a Silent Wolf on the field that's backed with a Baeling's protection, so they have to kill it twice, plus a 2700, right? In order to actually kill you, they're gonna have to do some stuff. Okay? They're gonna have to probably involve getting this off the board in some way, or just not killing you and just killing it in battle phase. It's whatever. After you do that, then you Nibiru them. They're never gonna see this coming. And like, even if you're a toggle Annie, you toggle on, you don't get the Nibiru prompt. They're not gonna know you have Nibiru until they get rid of the Promethean Princess. So you can just do. I think you should be fine. Like, combination of Nibiru and the Promethean Princess should keep you alive for that turn, and you can still actually Nibiru if it's good in the matchup. And another thing is, Salamangreat Circle, you often reset this either with Falco, or you reset this with Silent Wolf. So it has a secret second effect where it says target one Salamangreat Link monster that was link summoned using a monster of the same material. That's so like relink. So basically you're Silent Wolf, right? And that link monster is unaffected by monster effects this turn except its own. So if you really want to, you could Nibiru the field and then chain circle, and then your Silent Wolf will be unaffected by Nibiru. So it'll tribute everything but the Silent Wolf. So you're gonna nib them, and then you're still gonna have the Silent Wolf up, which gives you a target for Promethean Princess still, which you can use after the Nibiru. So you can do that too. I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're like really desperate and like you're scared and maybe you're like playing against, I don't know what deck you would do that against, but that is a play and it's good to know. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is what a setup involving Promethean Princess would look like generally, the way I go for it. I'm gonna normal summon Jack Dagger, and I'm not gonna use mining first because I know people just love ashing Baelings. So boom, there you go. And this is the one thing about the Promethean line, as I mentioned, is because you don't need Salamangreat Sanctuary at all to do it. You don't need any extra relinking. So we can just do the Gazelle, dump Salad Trap, I dump Rage, get Mirage Stalio, and then you do this line, I get an extra monster from deck. I don't get Falco from here because I don't have if I had used the circle, I would have gotten Falco to reset the circle or Rage potentially, but because there's only one Salad Trap in the grave, I don't need to get Falco. I can save it in deck for a play later on my opponent's turn. So I just get Foxy to put it in grave for follow-up. Then you go Promethean Princess with Silent Wolf and Mirage Stalio, relink into Sunlight Wolf, and then Sunlight Wolf will add back the Rage. Relinked without using Sanctuary since you used up Promethean Princess, and then you get to add back the Gazelle with the Jack Dragular and go into Phalanx. And that's it. I don't go again. I don't go for the whale because of the extra deck requirement. I don't think that one extra deck space is really worth potentially one extra pop at most. And we can set Rage. And what I like to do is with something like Rage, right? I like to use Salamanger your Salad Trap first, and then later on in the turn, if your opponent special summons, then you use Promethean Princess to pop your Salad monster, like pop your Phalanx. That will trigger Salamangreat Gazelle. You can special summon it, and then Gazelle will dump Falco to the grave, and then Falco will reset the Salad Trap you just used. So that's why I didn't send Falco. If I can keep it in deck for the Gazelle play, I will. Our opponent's on Purrely, so instead they're just gonna get FTK'd by Ash, apparently. Purrely is gonna add a Street, and they have no quickly spells, and this is not the right Abyss card, Herald of the Abyss. So if you're wondering like why Yu-Gi-Oh players can't read, or like, it's not because they're illiterate, they're actually just blind, and they just can't guess the right card. They can't even tell what the right card is. So they just gave me a free Foolish Burial. Thank you very much. And then Rage is gonna pop their 2 cards in the end phase, and this game is over. But yeah, couldn't really show off the Gazelle play, but that's basically what I do with the Promethean Princess. No, I don't go through the whale, save the extra deck slot, and whatever. So this is doing the other line instead of what you do instead of the Promethean line, which is, so we start out the same, normal the Jack Jaguar, special summon Gazelle, and Gazelle will dump a Spinny this time. We don't have Spinny yet. Make Mirage Stalio, and then Mirage Stalio will summon out Jack Jaguar from deck, go into Sunlight Wolf 1, put back the Mirage Stalio, and then add back Gazelle. I do this because I felt some kind of delay. I didn't know what it was, but normally you would relink the Sunlight Wolf first. But you know, if my opponent's trying to hold in the Nibiru, at least this way I recover some resources before I get nipped for my life. And then we make Baguska. So this is the line. Instead of going to the Promethean Princess, you make a Baguska. And apparently my opponent just had nothing to use because they're on True King Monarchs. Just fun. I should have probably noticed they had 0 cards in the extra deck, so I shouldn't have been afraid of Nibiru, because what kind of fucking True Draco deck runs Nibiru? Yeah, we're gonna Ash the hell out of this Pantheism. That's a nice +1 right there. Fortunately, this Baguska is not really gonna do anything because they can. That reveals me they already have Stormforth in hand, so there goes the Baguska. I'm gonna trigger Gazelle, which I probably shouldn't have triggered Gazelle, in all honesty, because that gives them a free search. Although I do get to add back the Ash, so I guess it's okay. You like 1 for 1. It would be the same thing as if I just Ashed their Dynamite Knight. They got an extra 1, but I got the Ash back, so it's like I'll just Ash the next thing on my turn. And of course, you always protect it with Veil, so this kind of Ooga Booga strategy doesn't work very well against you. And Salad is like really good against Floodgate strategies because, first of all, most Floodgates don't really work against Salad. It's pretty much just Tisabu, like goes in, Rivalry, Skill Drain, whatever. All of those can be popped by Foxy, as you will see right here. That's gonna trigger a Diamond Knight, and the Ash that I added back last turn that gave them the Apocalypse will just use to hit the Dynamite Knight this time, so it's basically the same result regardless. They're gonna flip their trap, and Foxy is gonna summon himself and it's gonna pop the domain, and now we can just do whatever. Go into Phalanx, and Phalanx will add back the Ash one last time. This is also why the Salad grinding game is insane, because if you draw 1 copy of Ash, you have Ash for every single turn in the duel. It's pretty nice. And I'll discard the Nib because it's useless. And here you go. They have 1 pop. All their interruptions are on board right now. They have 1 pop with their True Draco spell. They can True Draco Apocalypse to pop the True King's Return, and that will pop a monster. which targets. So you can do by doing the 4-body access code OTK in my video, this completely plays around it. So by going Splash Mage first, then special summoning Gazelle, and Gazelle will dump Roar even though I don't need it. Splash Mage bring back Jack Jaguar, go into Update Jammer, and then Falco will reset the Roar, and then you link 2 into Transcode Talker. At this point, at this point in this set, they have to True King Apocalypse, otherwise they won't be able to target Transcode anymore. So they popped it now, and then pop the Transcode, and then I can just use Spinny to revive itself, and then you still have 4 Cyber Materials on board, and they have no more interruptions into an access code. And that's game. Right there. No amount of floodgates when you go first is really gonna stop you most of the time. So, I lost coin flip this one, but my opponent made me go first. So, when you know you're playing a blind second deck, that's another time where I like to go for the Promethean Princess line, because going for Baguska is not very effective if they just kaiju over it, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this hand actually has a ton of salad monsters in it. So, what I actually do is, this doesn't come up very often, but you actually sign at mining for Flame Buffalo, just because you have so many monsters in hand anyways. So you can normal Buffalo and then get rid of it. I chain Circle to Buffalo in case they have like Ash or something, like, that's more important. And then you discard Spinny, draw 2, trigger Gazelle, draw 2 hand traps. That's exactly what you want to see with that play. Just draw more hand traps, dump Rage, since we're not going for Baguska anymore, you don't have to dump Jack Jaguar. And then Marat Salio will summon the Baguska, will summon the Jack Jaguar from deck, and we're doing the Prometheus line, or the Promethean Princess line. Revive Sunlight Wolf, relink it, and then Jack Jaguar put back the Sunlight Wolf, and then add back the Gazelle, and Jack Jaguar will add back Rage. Link off into Baylink to play around the Kaiju, so that you'll always have a Salad Link on the field, and I place Sanctuary. This isn't needed, but so this has a cool effect where, specifically if you're playing against Mikanko, you can pay. So Salamangreat Sanctuary has this second effect that's only used in the Cyber decks that tend to U-Link you, but basically if they attack you, I can pay 1,000 life points and make my Link monster attack 0. So that means Mikanko cannot kill me through my Salad Link monsters. They have to still get rid of my Salad Link monsters, just the extra layer of protection on that. And opponent's gonna Pot of Extravagance, and this is where they get punished for the Pot of Extravagance, because you get drolled. And then we get Lava Golem, and they hard drew the Reborn, the special summon spell anyways. So it doesn't really matter as they summon Ohime, and here's another reason why Promethean Princess is somehow good going second, because if they ever give you a Lava Golem, you can actually just pop the Lava Golem and use that as material for Promethean Princess. And then Gazelle will dump Falco. Obviously, I still have the Nib in hand. It's not live, but if they ever, it's not particularly doesn't come up in this matchup. As I mentioned, if they usually when people have to kill you, they have to clear the Promethean Princess because it's a shit ton of attack. So you could potentially nib them after they use resources to get rid of your Promethean Princess to try to OTK you, and they'll never see that coming because, like, you know, who wants nib with a fire blocking? Like who would do that? Clueless. Obviously, Gazelle will also send Falco to reset the circle for follow up, and I'm gonna chain Rage to actually just get rid of my Promethean Princess right here. That gets rid of their field spell, their quiz spell, and it gets rid of my body on board. So that means they don't have a body to attack into for damage, and it clears up my nib if they ever want to, you know, extend into it. But anyways, the circle we reset off of dumping the Falco can get out of our Gazelle, and then this is full combo. Like, this is just game because there's too much follow up in the grave. You go into Baylings, and then Jack Jaguar can recycle the Baylings, and then go into Splash Mage, and regardless of their face down is, if it's like an Imperm, it doesn't matter because we're doing the line that plays around the single Imperm. This will trigger Gazelle, special summon, go into transcode, bring back the Splash Mage, and then go into access code co-linked with transcode underneath. So they were gonna die that turn if they didn't have Nibiru. So this is a game where I don't know what my opponent is doing. So they won the die roll. They like to go first and pass. So I'm like, sussy. You probably shouldn't do what I'm about to do, and you're gonna see why you don't do this. So Gazelle plus any other salad monster, even Falco, which doesn't add a body, it's an OTK. So use Falco to reset the circle that I used. Always use circle and draw phase to play around roll. Special Gazelle, dump Jaguar, put back the Bailings, go into update jammer, into transcode, into bring back update jammer, into access code, into getting the Beerud. Yeah, this is a prime example of why you don't do what I just did, you know? the classic punished with a Nib token on board, and I don't even have a saddle monster for Rage. Well, I do if I add it off Circle, but who wants to add a monster off Circle just to dump it off Rage? Like, that sounds terrible. So, Droll and Nibiru has to carry me. And here's the funny thing, is that Salads somehow just randomly has a good Mikanko matchup. Like, just the most random thing. Buy token as they get their Huli set up, and I'm gonna Droll them, so... Yeah, and Droll coming in clutch against Mikanko, definitely the deck I put in Droll for, totally. Draw phase, I'm gonna flip Circle, which is gonna get Ash, which I unfortunately have to call by that, so my Ash doesn't do anything on their turn, which is unfortunate. So I get Gazelle, normal Gazelle, and it gets Mikanko Rivalry. They don't negate it, in fact they just take it, which is smart. So I dump Foxy for follow-up, and hopefully this Nib will carry me. And they're gonna get their Hare, and then they're gonna get their Fire Dance, linking the Break Sword to this Break Sword is an ultimate punish. They just summoned an extra monster for no reason. And then they're gonna get the Hare back and summon the access code. And then Mikanko ceremony, summon out the Huli. That's gonna dump their Mikanko Dance, May. I'd never know what this card is called, Mayo Washidori. And that's gonna get them nibbed. So yeah, thanks for making that Break Sword. And it appears I'm gonna live an extra turn, since the last card I hand is Nini, which is the worst one. Put it in defense, so all I take is 600. And they're gonna remove the Nib token on their side for some reason. Not quite sure about that. And I draw a Called by the Grave, which is a brick. They're gonna Ohime, but they don't have an extra copy of that Reborn spell, so they're gonna just add the Trap instead and do another 600 to me. And they're gonna bounce back my Call by the Grave. And our turn, we draw top deck a Circle, just excellent. Their Mikanko Promise is gonna get ashed, since for some reason you can ash this. Oh, hold on. What was this? One from your hand or deck? Oh, from the deck. That's why you can ash it. So yeah, that was the punish. If they instead of adding ceremony, then Foxy can out their equip spell by dumping Spinny. I didn't actually add Gazelle. I added a Spinny to dump to pop their spell, and then go into Mirage Stalio. And then Mirage Stalio can summon Gazelle from the deck, which will dump Roar, and then Falco will put back the Gazelle. So this is another instance where Promethean Princess might come in handy, because it allows you to put out a ton more damage on the board if you don't have access to your access code anymore. Like I got Unicorn, or like you got Nibbed, for example. So I would be able to OTK. Obviously, Marcellia bounces that back since you can't do battle damage to it. And then add the Ash back, you relink, Silent Wolf, summon back Jaguar, and add back the Rage. You know, for some reason they have a Battle Fader, they're still not going to be able to play next turn, summon back Jaguar. And this is 8k on board, but that's because I have the Nibiru token. You could go the Promethean Princess line to go into Sunlight Wolf, then bring back the Sunlight Wolf, and that will get you a bit of extra damage there too. Actually wouldn't have been gained because this is 8100 and Promethean Princess is 300 lower than Nib, so it would have only been 78. But you know, any other Saddle Monster or like a second Jack Guard, the Promethean Princess will allow you to go for a game if you don't have your access code still. But we have Nib, so that doesn't really matter. I just want to say, what a tease by Konami for releasing the new Link 3 would be perfect with the new Salad support, but the Salad support is nowhere to be seen. We're likely months away. We haven't even gotten like Syac cards yet. We're like so behind schedule. Like we're gonna have just this card looking in the extra deck at us for months while we can't make a great use out of it yet until we get the new support. So. You know, maybe not all the cards for the next one have been revealed. So, you know, maybe they want people to, they want them to buy this pack. You know, maybe the Salad supporters might be coming. Copium. And I guess until the new Salad support comes, if you want to play this deck in its current iteration, I do have a combo video up. For basically all the combos you can do with this current iteration of the deck before pre-new support. So yeah, go check that out if you're interested.